In May of 1916, three men walked across the interior of South Georgia, 36 hours over unmapped mountains and glaciers, at the end of an expedition that had already crushed their ship and left 22 men stranded on an island behind them. They had been awake for most of 2 days and they were starving. When it was over, Ernest Shackleton wrote one sentence about that crossing that he seems to have found very difficult to put down. That during that long and racking march of 36 hours, it seemed to him often that they were 4, not 3. There were 3. He said nothing about it at the time. Neither did anyone else. It was only afterwards that Frank Worsley told him he had had a curious feeling on the march that there was another person with them. Tom Crean said the same. 3 men crossing a mountain range in silence, each one privately aware of a fourth, and not one of them willing to say it out loud until they were safe. When the account was published, T.S. Eliot read it and put it into the notes to The Wasteland. The line he wrote was, "Who is the third who walks always beside you?" That line is the reason this has a name. It is called the third man, and once you know to look for it, the reports are everywhere. Mountaineers benighted above the snowline, solo sailors, shipwreck survivors, people who came down the stairwells on the 11th of September. And the descriptions are strangely consistent. The presence is calm, it is benign, it very often gives practical instructions. Get up, keep going. Not that way. And almost all of them describe the same thing, which is that it did not feel like a thought. It felt like company. In 2006, a team in Geneva was mapping the brain of a woman with epilepsy ahead of surgery. That work involves passing a small current through the surface of the brain, one site at a time, and asking the patient what she notices. When they stimulated a region on the left side called the temporoparietal junction, she said that somebody was close by. Nobody was. The room was the same as it had been a second earlier. She could not see the person. She could not say who it was, but she was certain it was there, and she found it unpleasant. Then they noticed what it was doing. The presence held whatever position she held. When she sat up, it sat behind her. When she lay down, it lay down. So they asked her to lean forward and take hold of her knees. She did, and she reported that the person behind her had reached around and taken her in its arms. She never recognized it as herself. Through the whole of it, she described someone else. 8 years later, the same laboratory went looking for where this comes from. They gathered patients who had felt a presence after brain injury and mapped the damage. It clustered in 3 places: the temporoparietal cortex, the insula, and above all, the frontoparietal cortex. Every one of them a region that works out which sensations belong to your own body. Then they built a machine to do it to healthy people. You stand blindfolded, moving a lever in front of you. Behind you, a second robot arm reproduces that movement exactly and touches your back. When the touch arrives at the same instant you move, nothing happens. Then they delay it. Half a second, that is all. And people begin to report someone standing behind them. Some of them ask to stop. This is the part worth sitting with. Your brain is constantly deciding which movements and which touches are yours. It does that by checking whether they arrive when it predicted they would. That check runs underneath everything all day, and you have never once noticed it. Delay the answer by half a second and the check fails. The sensation is real, and it is still yours, but it no longer matches the prediction, so it gets filed somewhere else. As belonging to someone, the presence at your shoulder is not a visitor. It is your own body arriving late and being mistaken for a stranger. There is a limit to what that proves. What the robot produces is mild, and it stops when the machine stops. What Shackleton described lasted a day and a half, and he was not wired to anything. Inducing something in a laboratory does not establish that the same thing happened on South Georgia in 1916. It shows the brain has a mechanism that can build one, but every condition that mechanism needs was on that march. Exhaustion, cold, 2 days without sleep, sensory monotony in every direction, which leaves something stranger than a ghost, that the most reliable companion people report at the worst moment of their lives is the one their own body builds when it is closest to failing.